Hey guys, Deal Games here, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to create a Minecraft server using BungeeCord. If you're not aware of what BungeeCord is, basically it's a server jar that allows you to create portals between servers. The reason this could be useful is because you can go much deeper into configuration options than you could with something like multiverse. And you've probably seen this plugin used on servers like Shotbow or Hive. Let's go ahead and jump right into it here. I have a folder on my desktop that I've created called BungeeCord, which we'll be using for this video. And what you want to go ahead and do first is download BungeeCord and a server that you intend to use. I'm recording this video before Bukkit 1.7 has been released, and the version of BungeeCord that I have is for 1.7, so I'm going to be using Spigot as my server, though you don't necessarily have to do that. These files that I have down here are batch files, which are of file type .bat. As you can see, I can edit this, and I'll show you how to create one of these here. What I'm going to do is copy this code because I can never remember it. And when you're creating these files, you want to go to New, Text Document. You don't have to rename it to anything. Paste that code in. I'll have that in the description for you guys. You can edit the amount of RAM that you would want to use, but I'm just going to stick with a gig of RAM for our BungeeCord server. You're going to go to File, Save As, and we're going to save that as, let's go with start2.bat. We're going to go down here, select all files, and save. And as you can see, we now have start2.bat. And the reason I have the second one here is to start up our Spigot server. This .jar file here is what the server is going to be running on. So I have, as you saw, one set on BungeeCord.jar, which is this one, running on 1 GB of RAM. And this one is set on 4 GB of RAM because that is an actual server that we are going to be connected to when we join our BungeeCord server. So let's go ahead and get into this. What I'm going to do is run this first start thing here, the start.bat, and it's going to say listening on /0.0.0.0. Enough zeros, 4 zeros, :25577. And what that means is it's going to be running on localhost, which is your IPv4 address, :25577. If you don't know what I'm talking about with all this this port stuff and the IP stuff, you probably need to look up a tutorial on port forwarding, and you can do that easily through portforward.com. So now that that's run, we can close that. We're going to go to config, and we're going to edit this. I'm just going to use Notepad++ because that's my editor of choice, and it's a very good program. Now we're going to go ahead and edit our config settings. The first thing you're going to want to do is replace MD_5 with your name. Your in-game name, that is. Not your real name, that wouldn't really do much. But what that's going to do is give us full admin/op permissions across all the servers connected to the hub. Next, what we want to do is go ahead and check to make sure the host is running on the port you want. I'm connected directly to my modem, so I don't have to worry about port forwarding, and I'm using the port 25577, which is completely fine. If you want to edit the way chat works on your server, you could set this to server, and what that would do is make it so that users only see the chat from other players who are playing in the server that they're in. If you do global ping, like it was set to before, then you'll see chat from all the other servers connected to the network. The default server is going to be lobby, which is the one we have down here. We can ignore the rest of this pretty much unless you know what you're doing here and you really want to mess around with it. We're going to change this to, I don't know, test server, which is fine. And it's going to be blue because it has the color code and 1. Alright, now we need to actually edit our servers. So we're just going to go ahead and go with the default port down here, which is 25565. And we don't really need an MOTD for that, because unless somebody had the IP for that, they would not be seeing the MOTD anyway. And you do not want to give away your IP for the separate servers in your network, and I'll show you why in a minute. We're going to go ahead and save that, close, and now what we have to do is go ahead and run our spigot. So we have this file here, start copy. You could have named that whatever you wanted, but you're going to make sure it is using spigot.jar. And I'm using 4 gigs of RAM. You can use however much you want. I'm going to run that. And this is basically an unsupported test build of Spigot for 1.7 because a lot of people were apparently complaining to the developer saying there wasn't a build for it yet, so he went ahead and whipped one up real quick. But this is experimental, as the disclaimer said there. Now it's just going to generate the world. It's got to generate both the nether and the end. Alright, and now it's done. So we can go ahead and hit stop. It's going to save all that stuff. Enter. Alright, and now we have a bunch more settings. What we want to do now is go ahead and go to server.properties. We're going to edit this. And now you can edit your server settings however you want. I'm going to leave just about everything the same, except I'm going to go ahead and change one thing, which, let's see. We're going to look for online mode, if I could actually find that. Sorry, I'm terrible at picking stuff up on site in this config window. Online mode, set that to false. That is why you have to be careful about not giving out the IP of your individual servers on your network. We're going to save that and exit. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and run our BungeeCord again. Then we're going to go ahead and run our Spigot server. We're going to wait for that to start up. I'm going to bring Minecraft over here. Alright. Okay, so that's ready to go. Now what we have to do is go ahead and go to multiplayer, and we're going to add our server. In this case, the IP is 0.0.0.0:25565, which is just localhost. Or sorry, I'm wrong about that. The IP is actually localhost:25577 because that is the IP of our hub. And you can see it just says test server. Alright, and here we are. Sorry, it's quite laggy. It's because I have Fraps open and I am capturing with Cam Studio at the same time. So this just is not going very well. But basically, we are now in our hub server. If you want to start adding portals between your different servers, what you have to do is get a plugin called Janus, which is Janus if you'd like to Google it. And I can also try to put a link for the description, or link in the description for that if I remember to. Hope you guys found this useful. It's a fairly quick and dirty tutorial. I didn't really cover too much, but I feel it is enough to go ahead and get you guys started. So, thanks for watching. See you guys later. Deal Games, signing out.